What you want? What you want?
Hello and welcome to my character creation review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the creation system for TERA Online. So let's get started with diversity. Alright, so as you can see here, there are plenty of races to choose from. Most of them with genders, some of them, like this one, with only one, as well as this one and this one. So as you can see, there's plenty of variety, but what I usually mean by diversity is, am I going to be able to create a character that looks like me, or are you going to be able to create a character that looks like you? Whether it's male or female. So let's go ahead and take a look at the humans. I won't be going through all of these just to try to keep the video from being extremely long like my previous videos. Alright, let's take a look at some presets. So yeah, with the human females, we can see that there's a good bit of variety in the way you can look in the game. However, one thing I did notice with TERA is that there aren't really that many hairstyles that you can choose from. Well, there's a good bit of hairstyles, but what I mean is there's not a real variety. It's mostly just straight hairs. There aren't any really curly hairs or afro type of hairstyles, dreadlocks or braids for any of the characters, except for the one character, Amon, the lizard looking character, I guess, has dreadlocks. I don't know if it's even hair though, but you definitely won't be able to create a human with a wide variety of hair. That goes for both male and female characters. But that aside, you can get plenty of different faces just by pressing the random button. You can see that here. Of course, not all of them look that great. Actually, I guess most of them don't look that great. But anyway, let's take a look at the males. So yeah, we have plenty of skin options for the human race. There's, you know, dark from light to dark and everything in between. And the way TERA works is you can pick a face structure along with any skin tone. And then you can go in and change the texture, and that's usually it says here the tattoos, makeup, and adornments, and that's usually like earrings and stuff for the female characters. I believe male characters have access to that as well, but not each face structure has the same amount of textures that you can choose from. And then you can go into the fine details and fine tune it, which brings us into sliders. So there aren't any body sliders in the game, but there is a face slider, or I should say multiple sliders for the face. You got your bone structure, which is the brow and the jaw, cheekbones. Got the eyes, nose, mouth, and ears. And although the sliders don't really have that many intervals in them, just the combination of them can make all the difference. So you'll definitely want to play with the slider quality to get exactly what you want. And as you saw before, just from pressing the random button, you can get plenty of different faces. But in this game, the way your character looks is really based on the armor, which I guess I'll just go ahead and go into the clothing. Alright, so as some of you may know already, the clothing in TERA Online was pretty controversial back when it first came out to North America and Europe, mainly because of this race here, the Ellen or Elin, however you want to pronounce it. Instead of underwear, they gave them shorts, I guess because people say that they resemble children because they're short and they have this anime look to them, and their dresses are really short for some reason. But I'm not giving it a penalty just because of that. It's just something that I thought that was worth mentioning. Although I don't necessarily agree with the censorship, it's just something that I thought I should point out. And the way armor works in this game is you've got heavy armor like this, light armor, and robes for the magic users. So there are plenty of different outfits that you can wear, like costumes and things like that you wear over your armor, and some of them are even colorable, so you can use a special dye in them and then choose any color that you want under the rainbow. And armor, all of it is recolorable. In this game you have your torso and your leg pieces all in one, and you've got gauntlets, and you also have boots, and each of those can be colored differently, so you get a wide variety of armor looks to you. Even if you're wearing the same armor as someone else, it'll look completely different because of the color that you decided to go with. And each race and gender has a special style that they usually have. Let's see. Like all of the robes for the Ellen classes are usually really short dresses like this. Let's take a look at their outfits. And races like the elves usually have, I guess, what you would call elegant and fancy type of clothing, as you can see here. But I'll show you more of the clothing later on towards the end of the video. So that brings us into the limitations. Alright, so what I mean by limitations is, if I pick a certain class, am I gonna be locked into a gender or race that I don't want to be? Now when TERA first came out, there weren't any limitations at all, but they recently added some new classes, the Reaper, which is an Ellen exclusive class, and then they also added the Gunner, which is a female Kastanic and female Kyle exclusive class. Now, I won't give it too much of a penalty because the reasoning behind these exclusive classes is because they wanted to make new classes for all the races and genders, but it takes them about 8 months to do all of the animations just for one class, for one race and gender combination. So for each race it would have taken them a total of 16 months just for one race. So they decided to write in the story where you just have a female gunner and female reaper, and they are planning to release an exclusive class for each race. So it does kind of suck that you can't be a male gunner or a human reaper or whatever you might want, but for the most part, all the other classes they're available for each and every race. So there aren't really too many limitations, and all armor has a male and female variant, and all armor has a variant for each and every race and gender combination, so not really any limitations besides those 2 brand new classes in the upcoming, I believe it's a fighter class, which is exclusive to female humans only. So let's go ahead and talk about the accessibility. What I mean by accessibility is, am I going to have to purchase DLC in order to create the character that I want, or to give my character a certain style or a certain outfit, or even hair and things like that? And for special cases like with modifying games or the virtual world Second Life, am I going to have to go into Photoshop or 3D modeling programs to create exactly what I want? So for TERA, there is a cash shop that has cosmetic items like clothing and backpacks and things like that. But you don't have to purchase them exactly. You can purchase them from other players via the auction house. But if you want it, you can throw in some money and purchase it, and there is the ability to preview pretty much everything that you might want to look at and buy. So from a gameplay perspective, you know, if I were reviewing a game and not just a character creation system, I would normally penalize a game for having a microtransaction system, but this is a free-to-play game, and you do have the option to purchase it from other players with in-game money, so you don't actually have to put money into the game at all. But, you know, it's not really a bad thing to put money in the game, especially since you're only getting cosmetic items, so it doesn't get a penalty for accessibility. Because, like I said, you can easily just purchase this from other players just from earning gold in the game. So that brings us to the gameplay. What I usually mean by gameplay is, does the gameplay make up for the character creation system, or does the character creation system make up for the gameplay or lack thereof? And in TERA's case, I would say the gameplay is really good. It's one of the best out there in my opinion. And the character creation system is adequate. Although I can't create specifically the character that I might want to create, there is a good range of characters, and you're sure to find something that you'll like when you make a character. So before I give you my final thoughts, I'll go ahead and show you a montage of different characters in the game. Okay, I gave diversity a 7 out of 10, and it gets a high rating because there is a lot of variety in the classes and races and genders that you can choose from. But it doesn't get a higher score because, like I mentioned before, you aren't able to create exactly what you want because there's a lack of variety in hairstyles, and for some races like the elves here, you can't create a dark elven character. You can't get exactly what you want, so it does get penalized a little bit for that. But again, you know, when it comes to having a unique character, it's very possible with this game. Slider quality only gets a 4 out of 10. Now that's actually pretty good because, like I mentioned in previous videos, when a character creation system only has a face slider and no body slider, it automatically gets cut down to 5. Just assuming that this slider is perfect for the face slider. So it does get penalized heavily for not having a body slider. However, you are able to earn items in the game that allow you to create certain body sizes of your character, such as the legs and the chest, but only that. And what's given to you as far as the face slider goes allows for a lot of different face shapes, so it does go pretty high. So if the game had a body slider that was equivalent or as versatile as the face slider, it would get an 8 out of 10, which is pretty good. But since it doesn't have a body slider, I gave it a 4. So clothing in TERA Online gets an 8 out of 10. The reason it scores so high is because there's a lot of variety in between all the different races and genders. You get a lot of different clothing styles, and you can also color the clothing pieces. And I believe you can color just about every armor piece in the game. There might be a few exceptions. And with the costumes that you can purchase, you can also color special editions of some of them. And you can color them any color you want. You get, like, you can unlock a special dye that allows you to unlock a grid of different colors, so it definitely gets a boost for that. The reason it doesn't get a higher score is because you have your armor all locked into one slot. There isn't any torso or pants armor, it's all just body armor, gloves, and feet. And there aren't any helmets in the game as well. So creating a unique looking character based on clothing is a bit harder because you're stuck with a certain look, but you can color, so it does get a high score. Limitations, I gave that a 9 out of 10 because there basically aren't that many limitations, and the limitations that are here were because they wanted to add more classes, but it's understandable that they couldn't put the time and resources into creating animation sets for each and every gender and race that there were because it takes up so much time. So I only took off 1 point, which prevented it from being a 10 out of 10, just because the limit really, it is there and people do have to deal with it. For accessibility, I gave that a 9 out of 10 as well, simply because the game is free to play, like I mentioned before. And while you can purchase DLC to get the costumes that you want, you actually don't have to purchase them because players are able to trade them in the game for in-game money. So you actually don't have to spend the dime. You will have to spend some time, which is why it does get a 9 instead of a 10. But it's not so bad, so I think it deserves a high score. For gameplay, I gave that a 7.5 out of 10. The gameplay is exceptional, the character creation is pretty good, so neither one really has to make up for the other. But given the specific limits of the character creation system, I'd say the gameplay more than makes up for it. It's live action combat, and the community, while it isn't the best in the world, it's also not the worst. So I'd say for a massive multiplayer game, it's pretty good. So the overall score is a 7.4. It's not the worst character creation system in the world. It's definitely not the best, but I'd say it's pretty decent. You get a good variety of characters from the races and gender, and even within the races and genders you can get a good bit of diversity. You might not be able to create the specific character that you had in mind when you start, but you can definitely create a unique character that's yours and yours alone. So that's about it. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to comment if you want, like if you want, and subscribe if you would like to. Thanks again, and have a good day.